Week one of the FSA football season is in the books. We had some really amazingly close games in the WRL. And the FSA Sunday Ticket week one was a success. All of this and more in 20 seconds. Hey, fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real broadcast sponsored by Sport Management Solutions, your one-stop shop for all your athletic communication needs. Who's out there? I see somebody in the background saying that they are ready. Jason helping me out a little bit earlier, asking, is everyone ready? Making sure that that the chat thing worked tonight. Ferg is out there saying that he's always ready. Ferg, how are you tonight? I appreciate you joining us. Eric is out there with us as well. I gotta learn to pace myself on this. I see the chat messages come up in YouTube Messenger, but not always can I put them immediately up on the screen because there's like a 30-60 second delay in between you all saying what you say and then them showing up on my screen over there. Again, there we go. Erica, there you are. Hey, how are you? I'm glad you're out there watching again. So, hey, we're going to talk about the APFL Week 1, Loch Ness, the Red Dragons region, Cerberus, the Krakens. We're going to talk about some playoffs from the APBL, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what happened with the FSA Sunday Ticket in its first week of its existence. So let's get to it. Let's talk about this APFL season. We started the season with in-division games. So we're going to talk a little bit about the AFC first. So with Buffalo's defeat of the New England Rebels, this game also produced the highest scoring combined points in the APFL with 214. I know it shows 215 there because this graphic likes to round things up and doesn't like to do decimal points. I don't want you all to think that I can't do math. But Buffalo continues to hold the league's best 3-year regular season record. Their win over the Rebels, 127-88. Again, that was a rounded number, but they did combine for the most points in the AFL this week at 214. So the Denver Mustangs began their title defense against Kansas City Arrowheads. Arrowheads have the league's worst 3-year record, and the Mustangs made easy work of them, 104-81. So the New Orleans Angels put up the most single points for the week with 136 against their divisional foe, the Atlanta Dirty Birds. And then in what we are going to start calling every single week, which is going to be the ugly game of the week, the Pittsburgh Forge put up 74 points over the Cleveland Cerberus. That was a game that was rounded up. Final score there was actually 74.1 to 70.82. They were the closest margin of victory for the week at only 3.28 points, and then also getting the ugly game of the week honors, where New Orleans scored 136 and Buffalo managed 126. Watching these two teams struggle to reach 75 points was kind of fascinating. So one of the favorite things that you all have come to learn to like around here with the APFL is this. If we were to go to the playoffs this week, what would the playoff picture look like? We introduced this, I think, partway through the 2023 season, and we kept it going every week in 2024. We are bringing it back again for 2025. Now, there will probably be a different graphic for this next week. We're recycling last year's graphic just to make sure that we got it in front of you tonight. We have been working with the database programming to try to automate the breakdown and the tiebreakers of calculating the APFL playoff picture. because there's a lot of hand jamming and a lot of calculations that go into this to make this happen, because we are using the NFL tiebreaker rules whenever we break this down. It's not as simple as head-to-head and then total points. There's a lot of steps that we have to get through to include all the way down to both the AFC and NFC East this week. We had to get all the way down to the 10th tiebreaker in the NFL tiebreaker rules to be able to break those two teams up. On that side, ended up being Buffalo and Miami, and on the other side, I think it was Dallas and the Mammoths is who we had to break up. And what that comes down to, for the majority of the other games that were there, it is best combined rankings among conference teams in points scored and points allowed. Let me pull my face back up for a second to try to explain that to you. So the way that works out is, I think that's like step 7 or step 8 in the tiebreaker process. So what we do is, in an Excel document, at least old school, before we can get this thing automated, is we take all of your points for so far for the season. In this case, we're only through week 1, and we rank you from first to worst, and then we give you a ranking of 1 through 16 on that. And then we also do the same thing on the points against, where we go from the lowest number to the highest number, meaning that if you gave up the least amount of points, you were the number 1 team, and you get a point for that all the way down to 16. And then you combine those two efforts together, and whoever has the lowest point total is the one that gets the tiebreaker. So that happened for all of the other games except for those two teams that were battling it out for the division title on the AFC East and the NFC East. In those cases, and I'll bring the picture back up, we had to go all the way down to best net points. And what that is it's your points for minus your points against to be able to get those numbers. And this is the playoff bracket. If we were to go to the playoffs this week, interesting on the AFC side that every single one of those, of course, minus the number 1 seeded Baltimore Blackbirds, are all divisional matchups. So both Buffalo and Miami in the East, Denver and LA in the West, Houston and Jacksonville in the South. So let's look at what week 2 of APFL looks like as we are going into our strength of schedule games. So we're staying inside the conference, but going against those teams that finished in the same spot you did last year in the standings. We have 7 pairs of opponents who will meet for the first time under this rule. And then we will have 9 games of rematches. Sticking here in the AFC for a second. None more important than probably that Miami and Denver matchup. Denver won their last matchup in week 10 of 2023 by dominating the Barracudas 138-60. Miami definitely looking to get a revenge game there. And then on the NFC side, not a whole lot to talk about, but I'm going to leave it there for just a second. That way you can see your pairings for week 2 in the first strength of schedule game in the APFL for the season. All right, now we are going to get into the... Well, I don't want that to show up yet. Daggone it. That's all right. You're seeing it now anyways. We're getting ready to get into the WRL regions for the year. You already saw the Loch Ness pop up. We've got some good storylines here for you. The headline of the week came from the whole Loch Ness region, where husband and wife had a showdown that went down to the wire. Totally turtly edged the Naughty Dogs 169.64 to 168.38. Margin of victory there was 1.26 points. These two combined for the largest scoring game of the week for a total of 338.02 points. The loss came by way of a late game fumble by the Naughty Dogs wide receiver DJ Moore, which caused them to lose 2 points, and they took the L in this case. But not every matchup was as spirited as that one was. The Horny Toads collected what may stand as the easiest win in FSA history, as the Wagyu forgot to set their lineup, handing over an easy 151-0 win for the team. So we want to make sure that we move on to the Red Dragons region when we have one game to highlight there. You're going to see him come up here in just a second. In the Red Dragons region, we had the Battle of the Rookies, where the Crayon Crusaders made a strong first impression, picking up her first ever fantasy football victory with a 127-110 win over Olave Garden. Next region we have up for you is the Cerberus region. We have a game to highlight here for you between the Monarchs and Boss Hogs. So the Loch Ness region gave us high drama, but the Cerberus region delivered another heartbreak game as the Monarchs were able to squeak past Boss Hogs 154.82 to 153.34. Margin of victory just 1.48 points. The deciding factor here, another fumble loss late in NFL action, flipping what looked like was going to be a Boss Hogs win into a Week 1 defeat. Matt, I see you out there. I appreciate it as soon as your comment comes up on the screen. So I will tell you, one of the cool things about getting what we're doing here in FSA automated, and automated as much as we can, is in a week like this week where I have 14, 15 graphics that are going to pop up on the screen. Let's say even if it was 10 minutes, which is very, what's the word I want to say? Very highly that it was going everything in my favor to be able to get it. KDB out there with us as well. Katie, I see you. Oh, you're actually able to be put on screen. Hey, how are you? We're going to talk about the APBL here in just a second, so stick around. So even if I'm getting the best case scenario when I'm doing these graphics, and let's say it's only taking me 10 minutes per graphic, at 14 graphics, still 140 minutes, 2 hours and 10 minutes. In most cases, it's actually like 15 minutes per. So we're looking at 3.5 hours for the graphics for this week. With all of the new automation that I've got going on with it now, it took 40 minutes to do all of the graphics today. It took me about 50 minutes to put the script together. So in what is normally a, 4.5 to 5 hour process of doing art and script was 90 minutes today. So it made it very, very awesome. So I loved it. We just got done talking about the Cerberus. Let's talk about that Kraken's region. So in this region, we saw a little bit of everything. Defending champion Ted's Lasso began their title defense on the right foot, defeating the Bacchanalias 129 to 121. But the loudest statement of the week came from the Kraken's region and for all of the WRL. Warbirds soared to the top of the leaderboard with a 176-point explosion. I know it shows 177 there. We're rounding up against the Roaring Lions, winning by 52 points. And because we just got done mentioning the Warbirds and being at the top of the list, let's show you that new look top 25 power rankings for the WRL. This is one of those graphics that I was just mentioning, as Matt said he thought the graphics looked great. I think this might be one of the few times that you see this graphic. I think I'm going to do a little bit of an upgrade of this one as well before we get into week 2. But what you're seeing here is the top 25 in the power rankings in the WRL. You can see that the page or the image is branded a little bit by the team that is in the number 1 spot. That is the Warbirds. That's why you see the week 1 update in that footer down there in their colors, and it's probably really hard to see, but there is actually a Kraken's logo in the background of this image. It'll be a little bit easier to see whenever we produce this for next week. But there are your top 25 right now. Unicorn Legends following at the number 2 slot after having a strong scoring week. Totally rides the emotional high of her close win into the number 3, and then rounding out the top 10, you got the Virginia Blackbeards at 4, Charlie Potters at 5, Maniacs at 6, Turd Ferguson at 7, Monarchs at 8, Epidemic Elephants at 9, and the Horny Toads getting that free pass at the number 10 spot. Jason says, I'm not in the top 25. No, my friend, you are not in the top 25, but, and I don't know if this is good or bad, I just happen to be looking at the schedule for week 2. And you and I play against each other in week 2. It has been a long time since we've got a chance to play against each other in fantasy football. So looking forward to you and I playing this week. All right, let's talk about NFL week 2 primetime games. So as of the spreads that I'm about to give you for these primetime games were as of 1:30 this afternoon. Of course, we have Thursday night football that's going to happen immediately after the show is over tonight. We've got Washington at Green Bay. Green Bay favored by 3.5. I got asked earlier today by Toby who I was picking for this game. I think Washington is putting together a really complete team, but I don't think they're there quite yet. I would take this game straight up at Green Bay taking it. I don't know if I would take them minus 3.5. I might take Washington plus 3.5, but I'm taking them straight up. Green Bay getting Thursday night football. Sunday night football, we got Atlanta at Minnesota. Minnesota favored by 3.5. I'm going to take Minnesota in that one. Again, Atlanta starting to put together a team, but I don't think they're quite there yet. Good young quarterbacks in that game, so it should be a great Sunday night football game. And then we've got 2 Monday night games on Monday night. First one is going to take place at 7 p.m. East Coast time. That is Tampa Bay at Houston. Houston favored by 2.5, but I am taking Tampa Bay in that game. And then for the second Monday night football game, we got LA Chargers at Las Vegas. Chargers favored by 3.5. I am taking the Chargers in that game, and their kickoff is at 10 p.m. East Coast time. Hey man, it ain't bald. There's some hair there. It's just cut pretty short right now. I've decided to go back and start cutting my hair again, save a little bit of money. So, but I think that's it's like 2 or 3 weeks worth of growth now. But I appreciate you calling me out on it. Thanks, Jay. All right, so let's get into this APBL Week 23. So APBL Week 23, we are in the first round of the playoffs for baseball. We got 6 teams going to the playoffs, 2 teams taking byes. Those 2 teams are the Texas Rangers. KDB was out there with us earlier. I don't know if she's still there or not. And then Metric Dunning's taking the New York Yankees on a bye in the first round, leaving on the NL side for the Cincinnati Reds and the LA Angels. Yeah, don't pay attention to the way they are actually in the MLB. This is how we run them in the APBL. So Cincinnati versus LA Angels. As of 1:30 today, the Angels were up by 36 points. I don't know what we're at currently. I don't know if anybody out there in the APBL can tell me what the current scores are. But on the AL side, Baltimore is playing Detroit. Detroit was up by 16 at 1:30 earlier today. And then we mentioned at the top of the show that we had a very successful first week of the FSA Sunday Ticket. We had 29 teams participate in it in week 1. As of 1:30 this afternoon, we had 11 teams already set their lineup for Sunday. Remember, FSA Sunday Ticket is only for Sunday's games. We had a total of 91 possible points in week 1. We had 4 teams all tie at the top with 81 points, and all of them had different games and different confidence points in there to be able to get that negative 10 points to be able to get the 81. We have 13 games again this week, and again, as of 1:30 today, we had 11 teams already put their stuff in. So KD says Angels are still ahead. They are up 171 to 38, so that puts them up by 33, so close the gap a little bit by 3 points. Let me know how the Detroit and Baltimore game is going. I'll put that up before we talk about the next broadcast, if you can pull that one up for me. And excuse me while I take a drink. All right, so next week we will be back on Thursday again at 7:30 p.m. East Coast time. This is our new day and time slot, at least until we get through Christmas. So it will be 18 September, 7:30 p.m. East Coast time. I have started picking up more games at USCA, so I will be busy on most Wednesday nights. That's why the shift. I also feel like it's a pretty good time to do it on Thursday night before we get into Thursday night football. Oh, this is a close game, 137 to 132. Katie says, I don't know who's got the win in the lead in that right now. Then I'm going to assume Detroit still has the lead then. At that one, you have to let me know. But we will be back next Thursday for the week 2 wrap up, hopefully with some new art in a couple of different locations. Yeah, and that's it. I want to thank everybody for watching the Fanatically Real broadcast, sponsored by Sport Management Solutions, your one-stop shop for all your athletic communication needs. They are the title sponsor of FSA. And then thank you to the Recast, the official music of Fantasy Sports Alliance. And I just wanted to come back real quick because Katie says the Orioles are up 137 to 132. So they have a 5-point lead in that quarterfinal round of the APBL playoffs. Thank you all for a great show tonight. A little bit faster than I thought it was going to be. I guess we got through those news stories a little bit faster than I thought. We might make for a longer show next week as we have more updates on the website to show you. But until then, y'all have a great Thursday night. Turn the game on and watch it. And if you want, hit me up on Discord and we'll talk to you soon.